Well, good morning, my friends. You have reached my channel, NeedleBugg, and my name is Karen, and I would like to welcome each and every one of you today. Welcome to all my new subscribers. Thank you so much for subscribing to the channel, and I am awful happy to have you here, and I hope you find something that you enjoy. And to those of you who have been subscribed, thank you so much for coming back and hanging out with me. So today we're going to do a stitch with me, and I'm going to work on Fred. So Sir Frederick Frosty by Heaven and Earth Designs. And this is the Christmas stocking, and I am making this for my daughter. I've already done for my grandchildren, so I'm doing my daughter and her husband. So Fred is the one that is on the hoop today. And if I remember right, let me look. I think I'm at 57%. Yahoo! I still have 33,000 stitches to do, but I hope to have this one finished for Christmas this year, and with any amount of luck, I'll also have Adams finished, but that one remains to be seen. Well, it'll get done when it gets done. What can I say? There is no rush for them. So I guess you're asking, what is Karen up to today? This looks a little different from what you can see. Let me zoom. Here we go. Zoom in a little bit so you can see what's in the hoop. And I am once again, it should be to no one's surprise, changing my method of stitching. Should not be a surprise, my friends. Should not be a surprise. This is a pretty much routine every other week thing where Karen changes her mind. So what I'm doing now is I'm using, I don't know why I feel froggy today. I'm using my version of Brian Blitz Stitches method, and I am stitching my rows instead of horizontally, I'm stitching them vertically. And yeah, here I go again. I'm going to park. Do I have you all crazy by now? If not, I should. Yeah, parking for me is on again, off again, on again, off again. And I don't know why. I got it in my head to try this method this time. So that is what we are going to do, or that's what I'm up to. So you'll see on here my search. When I search for stitches, it's highlighted in the dark blue. And I did that so hopefully it will be a little bit easier for you guys to follow along, because I know there are those of you who like to see on the chart what I'm doing. And you know what? In all honesty, that helps me to make less mistakes. Now I am coming up backwards in this one, but I want to anchor that thread, so that's why. Okay, and I am working these rows bottom to top because that's the way I cross my X's. And I wanted to work off of the area that was already done. So in order to do that and cross my X's up in a clean, down in a dirty, I have to work bottom up, which that's fine. I have no problem with that. All the different things I do, what does it matter if I stitch bottom to top, top to bottom? No biggie, no big deal. So that means this one is stitched. And that means, just move that down a little bit. I'm going to park it. It looks like I may have made, no, I missed this stitch. Okay, I'm going to park it here. Oops. I'm going to park in the bottom left. Okay. And what I did is I missed stitching this stitch above where I just parked. So I'm going to highlight that one and I'm going to unstitch it. And it's 3042. Well, here we're going to cheat a little bit. True confession. This next color I'm going to stitch is 3041. So when I stitch that, I'm going to fill this one in with 3041 instead of 3042 because in all honesty, they're really not that much different. So let's do this color, which is 3041. Sometimes we cheat. But who didn't know that I would do that? Ah, the horrors. I have been known to cheat because really, in all honesty, who is going to know that that one stitch is a shade off from the color it's supposed to be? So the way I'm doing this is, and I'm just going to go down up here so that I can catch that thread when I do these few stitches. Okay, I'm going to pull this tight. I am doing the first half of the stitch as I go up. I guess you would call these columns, these little spots here, and I need 4 of them. 1, 2, 3. And as you notice, I do prefer to stitch with just one hand as opposed to 2. I can do two-handed, but you know what? I really am a lot more comfortable one-handed, so that's normally what I gravitate to just because I don't even think about it. But then sometimes I switch and do this, and I guess it really doesn't matter because no matter what I do, I'm going to block your view to some extent. Okay, so that's those 4. And we're going to park it right here. Now, I would do this stitch, except this stitch is not completed yet. So, we're going to mark off these 4. And we're going to park it here, bottom left. Now, I guess you guys noticed I am using markup as opposed to pattern keeper. And I really am gravitating more towards using markup. I don't know, it's just the one that right now just seems easier to use for me. Everyone is different. Everyone is different. But I wanted to use this today just so that I can give you folks an idea of how it works. You can actually see me using it as opposed to just downloading it and going, I can't quite figure this out, or this doesn't make sense to me, or I don't know what I'm doing, all the questions that come. So I just thought, you know what, this is a great opportunity for people to actually see it in action. And if I can get my needle threaded here we go. Maybe get an idea of how it is used. So let's see, we're gonna anchor this thread here, or I'm gonna go down here, and these are all dirty holes no matter which way I stitch. So we're just gonna get this thread started. I just happen to be at a place where there's a bit more confetti on this, because I believe what I'm stitching here at this moment is part of his scarf. So we're going to mark that one stitched, and we are going to park this here. Okay. So we're going to park it right here. Okay. So now I am very much trying to stay within the column. Okay, within the diagonal. I'm not stitching outside the diagonal. And I'm going to prefer not to park outside of the diagonal, except in very rare cases. And normally I like to stitch bottom to top. And do you see what I did? I parked this one here in the top. This color is where I have this parked in this next column is the color I want. And I like to start at the bottom and work up. So, however, this time, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this thread. I'm going to stitch this one. And the reason I am is because I love these ball-pointed needles, but sometimes they're a stinker to thread. The reason I am is because I have to jump from the top of this column all the way down here to the bottom to complete these 2 stitches down here. So my question marks will cover that carry. So I am going to just half stitch this, do a half stitch here, do a half stitch here. And the reason I like to work bottom up is because now when I go back and cross these, because I want to come up in this outside hole and go down in the dirty holes, instead of just making a horizontal line on the back, it's going to make a long stitch on the back because I want to come up here. So do you see how that happened? I went down here to come up here, which is going to make it a long stitch on the back. So that's one reason I like to go bottom up, is because then I only get the short horizontal stitch on the back. So we are going to mark this. Wait here. First I have to select them. Oh, you silly, silly girl. Okay, that's stitched. See how the mark for the parking went away, and then you have to tap it again to actually mark it as stitched. And then we stitch this one and this one. And the next place we are going to use that within this column, within this diagonal, is going to be right here. So you're going to long press that. What comes up then is your selections, and we're going to park it in the bottom. Okay. So that means we're going to park it directly underneath this one. Okay. Now we're going to do the question marks. Aha, look at all of those. Yippee skippy. And that is 37.26. So maybe we'll get going a little bit and not have so many threads to start. Just on occasion, we'll have a new one to start, but yeah. I thought we'd do about, a half hour, 45 minutes. I don't like to make these too long. Because A, I run out of things to talk about, and B, yeah, a lot of folks don't like videos when they're so terribly long, so I try to keep them to a reasonable amount of time, so that I know most of you hopefully are stitching while you're watching this, but there are those that do like to watch the actual stitching, and that's also fine and dandy and wonderful. So I'm going to leave a tail up there, and I will pull those tails to the back. In just a minute or two. I am kind of stitching rather slowly today. That's because I want you to actually see what's happening. Normally I would stitch a little faster. Now hopefully that should be caught on the back, so I'm going to take my little snag nabbit. I love these things. By the way, did you know snag nabbits? I bought some on Amazon. Now they are a bit thicker, but they come in a plastic container, and I think there's like 10 or 12 of them in the pack. Yeah, see, they come like this. Now they are a bit thicker than the clover ones, but there's a bunch in the pack, and I think they weren't called snag nabbits. I want to say it may be Stitch Fixer or something to that effect. So, but you can get them on Amazon. They really were not. They really were not expensive at all. And the reason I bought the pack was because I just have a tendency to lose them. I don't know why. I normally like to keep them on a magnet right on my stitching, but Sometimes I don't stitch in a scroll. I stitch in a hoop or a Q-snap, but more often a hoop. And with moving things around, sometimes they just get bumped. And what can I say? I lose them. So I have made sure I had an elegant sufficiency so that I always, and I keep them on my little cart here that I have all my stitching stuff on. Okay, so now this next column is 2, 4, 6. 1, 2, 3. I have to tell you guys about my plan. Okay, you are all going to think, oh my God, the woman's crazy. Well, you're probably right. And yes, it is a very, very short trip. If you remember from a previous video, I decided I was going to stitch the cropped version of God Shed His Grace by, is it Cross Stitch Studio? I want to say. It's a beautiful chart. The whole thing is an absolute beautiful, beautiful chart. One of my other subscribers is stitching the whole thing. Well, Silja, this is all your fault because what you are stitching, the whole thing, is absolutely out of this world gorgeous. So that got me to thinking. And that's a dangerous thing. A very dangerous thing. But that got me to thinking. Oh, wait, actually, I can stitch this one. I want to do the whole thing, not just the cropped, because the overall picture is totally gorgeous. You know, another one of those giant projects that I have to add to my, oh golly, I really want to do this pile. So I started looking for a piece of fabric. Well, first of all, I was going, what do I want to stitch it on? It's a big piece. It's going to be humongous. Unless I stitch it on a really fine count. And we all know the difficulty I have with really fine count fabric. Yes, I can do it again. But to do it on a long-term project, okay? To do it on a project that is going to make, or going to take a gazillion years. I really felt like I need to do it on 20 count. That for something that large, that is going to take that amount of time, I really need to do it on nothing smaller than 20 count. But then I went, gee whiz, that's still going to be monstrous. I figured out the size fabric I was going to need, and it came out to, well, I need at least 33 to 36 inches for the height. And I was figuring about a yard to somewhere between a yard to a yard and a half for the width. And I'm going, what in God's name do you do with all that fabric when you're stitching this? Where do you put it? How do you roll it up? It's like, no. One option would be, and I don't enjoy stitching on a scroll frame, but one option certainly would be to put it on a scroll frame and stitch it sideways, because that way you could get it on a decent length scroll bar, because heaven forbid, if your fabric's going to be a yard to a yard and a half wide, how do you find a scroll rod that wide, short of making one yourself? But then again, where do you put it? What holds it? Yeah, no, not even going to go there. I thought, okay, all right. So that negates that option. No, we can't. No, we are not doing that. Because what in the world do you do with all that fabric? That is the question. Okay, let me see where this goes. Okay, goes up here. Okay, let me count here to park this one, and I'll be right. Start talking again. 1, 2, and then over to the 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So I think, okay, what are my other options? And then it occurred. Then I'm just going to mark this one off. A moment of, I know what I'm going to do. So I sat and I played around with numbers and sizes and all of that. And I decided probably the best, well, maybe not the best, but an easy thing to do, a manageable thing. What did I mess up? I put this in the wrong hole. 372, I did. I put it over one too far. The manageable thing to do is divide it into 3 panels. And then when you look at the chart, it is easily divisible into 3 panels because, and 3 equal size panels, because it's 15 pages across. So 15 pages across, I can get each panel 20 count, using 20 count fabric. I can get each panel on a piece that's 21 by 36, which is still large. Don't get me wrong. It's still large. However, it's a more manageable large. That's the key. It's a piece that I will be able to keep under control a bit easier. Okay. Okay, now I have myself messed up. This is what happens when I talk too much. Okay, I'm here. And I'm right. Here's where I want to park it. Okay. See, that happens when I talk too much. I get myself a little confused because I'm going up this diagonal like this. Okay. So I figured that a piece 21 by 36 is far more manageable than a piece 36 by a yard and a half, or whatever it was going to work out to be. So as a result, I go looking for fabric in my little fabric stash, to which I have a piece large enough, but it's not gridded. And top and bottom, I would only have, I could make it fit, but it's not going to leave me very much of a margin, which in the grand scheme of things, I could deal with, because my plan is then to, because they're so large, how are you going to hang 3 pictures that large on the wall? Well, chances are you're not. Not with, I mean, you guys have seen the videos, so not with all the things that are hanging on my wall. There's just not, that's just not going to happen. So I was kind of leaning towards making them into a quilt. Because that would make quite a nice size quilt, depending on how you would put them together. You know, or some kind of large quilted throw, that you could, like, okay, I have cats, so will I do this? I don't know. But I'm thinking something that you could, like, drape over the back of your sofa or something to that effect. Okay, that's a possibility. So that's what I'm going to do. And at the time, I was perfectly fine with that. Ordered some 20 count easy guide from 123 Stitch, and which should have been here, but much to my dismay, is on back order. It's like, oh, come on. As much as I want to get these done, I really want to start that. So I didn't realize 20 count easy grid guide, whatever, the gray and white stuff, was that hard to get a hold of right now. 3727. But it is. So I hunted around and actually was able to find some on Etsy. So I canceled my back order and I ordered it from a shop on Etsy, and it is being mailed today. And hopefully I will have it next week sometime so that I can start it. Have that fabric in my grubby little hands and get started. You know why are we that way as stitchers? Why? It's like, okay, you have to order something. You know it's going to take a little bit. You know all that in your head, that it takes a little bit of time to place the orders, for the order to get here, and all of that good stuff. But why, when we want something, do we want it yesterday? It doesn't matter what it is. Oh, come on, needle, thread. It doesn't matter what it is. It's always when I want it, and when I make up my mind to do something, I want it now. I don't want it. I don't want it a week from now. I want it now. Why is that? I don't get it. I mean, my head understands it, but still, when I make up, oh shoot, when I make up my mind, I want to start something, even though it's not like I don't have anything else to stitch on. Because Lord knows I do. But when I make up my mind, I want it, and I want it now, and I want to start on it yesterday. Now, I should be having learned lessons by being that way, but somehow it doesn't change. There are plenty of times where that's how I get. I want it now. I want to start it now. And then I get it. And then I start it. And then very shortly after that, I'm done with it. Yeah. It's like, okay, I scratched that itch. Now I'm over it. And sometimes I should know better and just say, let's revisit this in a week or 2 or 3. But no, it just keeps gnawing and gnawing and gnawing at me until I cave. And then I cave and scratch the itch. And sometimes that's just as far as it goes. And I have some projects to that's the case. I don't know why these needles are such darn stinkers to thread, and I'm even doing that pinch thing. Okay, doesn't want to go in. Soon I have to get the needle threaders out. Okay, let's try this. There we go. Yeah, so, but you know what? I didn't give up on Autumn Church. What I did do, however, okay, Call me crazy. You guys should not be surprised. What I did do is I went back to the 22 count one. Yeah, I did. Mainly for the sake of saving my eyes. Mainly. Because, yeah. Oh, gonna sneeze. Pardon me if I sneeze. Okay, thank you. um, yeah, I didn't give up on it because I really do want to stitch those. That has not changed. So Autumn Church is still on the plate to be stitched. Um, what's the other one? Oh my gosh, I'm drawing blanks. It's the two stockings. Autumn Church. I think that's it. This. Let's look. Autumn Church. Adam stocking. My heart hanger stitch along. Yeah. That's all I have in my current I'm going to work on pile. So we're just going to add God Shed His Grace, and that's the focus projects for the next, I don't know, however amount of time. So that's the story of that. So I'm hoping to keep it to that and yeah, enjoy each and every one of those. Now, stitching this way is going to be a bit slower. However, what I have now decided to do, and I was thinking about this morning before I started this video, is if you look at the chart, and unfortunately you can't see my finger pointing, and this doesn't, I don't have a pointer on here, but this next column that I'm going to do, if you look at the bottom of that diagonal that I'm currently working in, the next diagonal over, there would be 3 stitches where the previous ones are already completed. So I will complete them at the same time. And then I will park up above these finished stitches, and there will be 2 park threads aside of each other, because then I'll finish those after I do the 2 in the column I'm going to do now. So if there's completed stitches previous, so I'm going to stitch these. I'm going to stitch these up here. I'm going to come back down. I'm going to stitch the ones that I can in here. I'll jump up here and park so that I can complete those, because as you see, I don't have to come all the way back down to here. On this next column, I can park right here aside of it, because all the ones down here are going to be completed. Okay, so let's stitch that and I'll show you. And then we're already at 45 minutes. So then we might just say, end this video so that it doesn't get so terribly, terribly long. Now, I'm hoping my piece of fabric that I ordered, and I did get a piece that's, I think it's 36 by 45 or somewhere in there. And I figured I need a piece 21 by, I can't remember now, but I was thinking I could get 2 panels out of what I ordered. Now, the other reason I went with dividing it in thirds that way is because each panel on its own is quite a lovely piece. So that if I decide I'm not going to do all 3, each one alone makes its own lovely piece, so that I could do just 1, or I could do just 2 and stop. I wouldn't have to do all 3. So it left, by dividing it that way, it left me with the most options. I should have crossed each of these as I went, but that's okay. I don't mind. Thread carries. I prefer them to be stitched over, but in some cases it just ain't going to happen. So there you see how we did that. I stitched these and these, and then I stitched this. Oh, that didn't mark off these. And then I parked it right here. Okay, so I will complete these stitches. Then I can go back and get these. Then I can come back down here and work up again. So that's kind of how that works. And that's how markup works as you're stitching. Now, I don't think I stitched anything before we started. So let's look here. I have 9 park stitches in between my my gabbing. I stitched all of 39 stitches. I'm at 57.1%, so I don't think that changed. But yeah. So considering having to thread needles and talking to you guys, that's not too bad. Heck, anything is more stitches than I get on a live because I don't really stitch that much when I do a live. So, okay. With that, my friends, I think we are going to call this one a day. And I will get this uploaded. And I hope all of you have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. I thank you for watching. I thank you for spending time with me. If you see something here that you like, please subscribe. And remember, the only rules in cross stitch are the ones you set for yourself. Have a great weekend, and I will see you next time.